Hey everybody, Bridget, blah blah. Anyway, it's in the morning. Bridget Lynn Dolgoff, Conscious of Economics and Urban Farm Project, and I've only been up like about an hour. And lately, I've been doing like a huge amount of thinking and also a huge amount of activism to get people to kind of figure out what's going on in California. I'm not in California. I'm in Reno, Nevada. And it was a little cold last night, so yeah. Still like totally, flabbergasted. If you haven't seen or you haven't listened to the interview on the Feral Hippie that I posted Saturday here on the channel with Mark Steele, from the UK, who's expert in microwave weapons and machines and things like that, about 5G. You really should listen to it. Right now we have to fight. We can't really wait for people to do the right thing and help us. We have to really start fighting, and all elected officials. I mean, not fighting like harm fighting, but, whenever there's meetings or city council hearings or the legislature or your governor or whoever, start slamming the mayors, start slamming them with the information that's coming out. So we can start like a ripple effect and stopping this crazy stuff. And then I got really kind of depressed when the report started coming in that the nuclear facility in California, Rocketdyne, from the Woolsey fire in Southern California, burned down to the ground and released all kinds of nuclear ash all over the place. God knows how far it's going to go with wind currents. Obviously, most of the food belt and the bread belt is going to be contaminated. I mean, Fresno has a nuclear or some kind of nuclear facility or power plant down there that is fairly new, and it's leaking 1,000 CPMs a day. From what I understand, 100 CPMs is emergency. That is like the highest level that you want to exist in a daily basis. So, yeah, horrific of what's being done to us. And if you don't believe that powers that be don't care, you kind of better get your head wrapped around it. I mean, why would they not report that nuclear facility down in California burnt on fire? Now, just because nuclear radiation burns on fire doesn't make it gone. I mean, some of it lives, 500,000 years. There are some scientists that speculate some of it lives 1 billion years, radioactive material. Go online and look at depleted uranium. Uranium is 600 years spent fuel. So look at what it's done to the babies in Iraq. It is so unbelievably shocking. You will not be able to believe it or wrap your head around it. And, I'm not saying all this to be a doom and gloomer, but we're at mass extinction. We're human extinction level that's going on right now. And there are other countries who are like opting out. Russia opting out on all levels. They won't make trade deals with us anymore because they don't want any of this free trade. They don't want to have to get contaminated food into their country as a part of free trade. You know, whatever we want to send them and force them to pay us for it. They've banned GMOs. You can't grow GMOs. You can't have GMOs. They're like one of the top organic, ancient wheat growers right now worldwide. They're, dealing with vaccines and eliminating a lot of them that are unnecessary and cleaning them up for their people. Putin came out and said that he doesn't, want his people to turn into Americans that are like so dumbed down from the food and the vaccines and the rates of health problems that we have here. So there are a lot of countries that are, in the process of opting out. And that's why you see all this global tension, because as people step away from these trade deals or whatever else from the U.S., and don't want to do business with the U.S. anymore because we don't really have anything clean and green to offer them. I mean, these, canola, the whole canola bean deal. I mean, canola oil is like soybeans or whatever else, or like canola oil is like the most poisonous oil that you should ever cook your food with or eat. And it's in almost every boxed food. And chips, potato chips, and just unbelievable that people eat that stuff. Cause serious long-term health problems. Just disintegrate you from the inside out. Anyway, then there was, so I've just kind of been, I'm not as optimistic as I used to be years ago. Too tired. And I don't really see a lot of stuff to be optimistic about. With that said, that I try to more stay like in balance. This last week was pretty tough. It was a pretty tough week on me. It's a pretty tough when you're living on a planet and there are only a very few people that are awake, and even those people don't even really get the 5G problem and the nuclear meltdowns and issues. So you become like vastly kind of alone in your battle. So there's always all these, well, you know what, I'm not going to talk about them because it's just it probably might pull me off balance, and I don't want to be pulled off balance. So balance is a neutral place. And that is the shamanism place that I work on existing. I'm right in the middle of my medicine wheel, my personal wheel. So I'm not tilting it, in all different directions. I'm standing on it in the center, keeping it flush, all sides, not walking and tipping it, right? I'm just trying to stay in personal balance. So I'm not feeding the duality. It's not a 3D, it's a 2D. I mean, look at it. It's all 2D extreme. There is the right, the left, the saint, the sinner, the judge, the jury, it just goes up and down, light and dark. It's a constant fight and constant battle. One raises, the other one has to raise. And regardless of what's going to happen on this planet, good, bad, or indifferent, it looks like mostly bad. I want to stay in balance. I don't want to bury my head in the sand. I don't want to be Pollyanna and spew, information that keeps people plugging their head in the sand or believing something else is going to change. We're kind of at a active place where we need to man a shovel. Meditating is not working anymore. I worked on grids, on energetic grids for like 20 years with a group of people trying to change the jobs. And so people had work, like go from, toxic chemical industry, trying to get it to transfer over into, hospitable, benevolent industries. So people didn't lose their jobs. So we were actually, creating this stuff and putting it into the ethers and working on changing it. And it did zero. It did zero. So I man a shovel these days. And, I use my spiritual work in a completely different way. And I use it to keep myself personally balanced. Right? Anyway, so yesterday I was listening to a person that used to be a mentor of mine, but they've actually turned into a money-hungry pusher, pusher for their work and money-hungry because, they're not really holding the monopoly on that information anymore. But there was a couple interesting things that I gleaned off of it. And a lot of it has to do with trusting myself. And waiting, this is the thing. We put whatever we need out there to know for the information or whatever in a good way. And then we wait for a response actively, in an active way, where we continue to, live out our life, feed ourselves good food, get proper exercise, and a lot of these other things, while we wait for the information to come that we need in order to figure out what to do next. So, also, I want to put out there that I want to, I had a huge problem with Udemy. It's not straightened out yet. I don't know what the deal is going to be with Udemy, but, I was going to do 11 courses on there, which are like 5 lectures for each course. So I got most of them up there, and then I decided to just put one out. Dowsing, I think it's called Dowsing 101, and about dowsing and getting away from the muscle testing, because muscle testing is just left hemispheric information. It does not give you the information of everything going on in the unified body, in the unified field, or to correct it in a unified way. And dowsing can be used for all kinds of amazing things, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, and finding water, finding a place to live, finding the right food for yourself in a grocery store, like the whole 9 yards. But anyway, so I got it up there, and it's been 6 weeks because I've been looking for a place to do online classes. And then this was, everybody could attend, because some of my classes are a little bit over, majority of the people's heads. And you have to have some coping skills, right? Because some of the information's pretty heavy. So anyway, no students, no nothing. They keep sending me these emails. So in the contract that I signed with them, I said, I don't want you to do any special advertising for me, because, shouldn't everybody be the same on Udemy? I mean, shouldn't the information be across the board, right? The same, and how your structure is and your categories and all that other stuff. So, they wanted like money to help me, with where I'm going to be at in Udemy. Then they wanted money box for to help their advertising personnel, 25% take of your class. Then they wanted you to do, specials so that they could, crunch down your course for special sale for like $15. And I did a pretty good job on mine. I was just charging $60 for 5 lectures. It's pretty good information, right? That's pretty cheap. I mean, I could have, gone up. So I said no on all these things that I didn't want Udemy to help me with, that I was going to get through it myself. I spent 4 months getting through all the bells and whistles and having to get different equipment in order to put it up. And, it just goes along with how everyone's stealing from everyone, right? And that you can't be held accountable for your own merit. And everybody's stealing. So anyway, what happened is that I get this email like about 4 days ago that says, oh, we're just notifying you that you've had one student and you've made, $26 with us for the year, for your tax records coming up in January. And I'm thinking, as far as I know, I didn't make any money and I haven't had a student because Udemy hasn't notified me by email. And my PayPal that's attached to Udemy has not sent me any information that Udemy has paid me for anything, right? So I go on the live chat on the website and I just, there's a guy that pops up. You don't see him, live message chat. And I just put in there like, hey, dude, just trying to figure out, number one, why I wasn't notified that I got one student. Number two, why I only got paid $26. I should have got paid the whole thing because under the contract I did, I denied Udemy any kind of financial access or percentage to my courses in any way, shape, or form. And number three, where is that $26? Because I never got it. Even though you're saying that I made $26 with Udemy, you never paid me in PayPal. So where in the hell is my money? And the guy sent me a message back saying, oh, well, I can't really talk to you about this now. Basically, I'm going to have to send this on a ticket because we'll have to have somebody investigate it. Then I'm thinking all along that maybe my class wasn't really that exciting, even though I spent all this time, really putting in all this information, worked really, really hard. And now I'm starting to realize, think maybe how many students took it and I didn't get paid for it at all. And, what the hell is going on? So, and, I'm not really attached to the fact that, hopefully a lot of people did take it. It has a lot of great information and I'm not really attached to the whole financial thing, So, but I would like to know if I'm doing business with you, I want, or I'm having a relationship with you, at least like some honesty, like you do what you say you're going to do, right? Transparency. They still haven't gotten back to me. It's been 4 days. Like, what the, you know what I mean? So I've really decided that, I'm not really sure that they can make this right. And I'm gonna, if they don't, get this straightened out and get back to me within at least 1 week or 7 days, because obviously it's obvious at this part, because they haven't gotten back to me with like an answer of what's happened, that they're stealing the money and they screwed up and they don't know what to do. And so now they're trying to figure out what their legal position is, right? And then they'll send me some, bullshit email So anyway, that's probably what it's going to be. Anyway, but what I want to do is I want to teach some classes. So I'm trying to figure out how to get people that may be interested in taking, a course a month, maybe, because I could probably pull off at least a year and then advance on those. And I have Zoom, and so I can have up to like 50 people on there and teach a lot of these things that I've been wanting to teach, that cross the board, from nutrition to just everything. A lot of things that I've learned along the way that have really been helpful to me mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, with practices and work and insight. So if anybody out there is interested, email me at consciousnessofeconomics@gmail.com, or my website, coe-llc.com. And let me know if you're interested, and if I can drum up at least 10 people. And I would do it by donation or for free. Like if you need information. That's the thing, is like so many people are poor and broke right now, and they really need help to get their mind and their emotions and all this stuff like straightened out, that I would teach the class for free. And then people could donate whatever they could donate if they wanted to, or not donate at all. I mean, that would be fine. So if I get enough people that are interested, I can maybe start those in January. All right. Anyway. Yeah. Okay. It's probably going to kick off here in about 10 minutes because my thing doesn't allow for a super long record. So it might go into 2. All right. All right. So there was just a couple of things that I had gleaned off of this. Oh, from a mentor that's not going to be a mentor anymore because they've turned into a greedy person, which is fine, Sometimes you have to have more skills and more talents, which means you have to keep adapting. And if you think the one thing that you've been doing is going to continue to earn you an income, which means that you stay at the same place and you don't evolve, I mean, how are you going to help your people to evolve? Right? You need more tricks. You can't be a one-trick pony, right? And anyway, so they were talking a lot about, running after spirit, running after infinity, that you really have to like run after it. And I really think that that's true. Spirit isn't going to like just work in your life. You have to use your will in a way that you are asking for guidance. You are asking for help. And you then are spending the time to notice the things going on around you. That is the help and the guidance. So sometimes you have to stop a lot of what you're doing, run towards infinity, run towards spirit, and get your information, what you need, want, desire, whatever else, handed over, and then you actively wait. So I thought those were kind of some interesting, just the words. Okay, so last night I had a dream. Well, I traveled the dreaming world last night. So third attention, right? Not just a typical dream where you go to sleep and you haphazardly are jamming around. I'm talking about traditional dreaming, shamanism dreaming. And I was probably in the third attention. And so I crossed over into, I don't know, a realm, another plane of existence through a crack of time. another functioning dimension. I don't know, whatever anybody wants to, their languages, surrounding that. And it was there, and there was a bunch of people. No, I don't think there were people. I think a lot of them were probably non-human, even like really non-human looking. And we were having a conversation about kind of like what's happening on Earth right now, and what's going on. And they were like, "Oh, wow. Would you be willing to talk to the council that's here? The functioning council that's here?" And I was like, "I guess so." So they sterilized me, and then they dressed me with this parchment paper lampshade dress. And they took me into this room, and there were these, I don't know, 5 or 6 beings. The hard part was I couldn't really see them. There was quite a bit of light, kind of like moonlight, but really bright moonlight in the room. So it was really hard to see. And a lot of it was telepathic. And I could tell that they didn't really want to talk to me. I could tell that they didn't really care, which provoked me a little bit. And then I was, they were picking my mind, right, for information. And so we got on to roots and soil and things of that nature, and how important it is to probably save Earth because of, and the things that we're going to have to do in order to save it. Because I've studied a lot of this stuff, right? I've studied a lot about soil in this realm, and I've studied a lot about creating microbial mass and how we're going to have to clean things up, but we really have to stop what's going on. And so through them picking my mind, the whole nuclear fire thing came out, the 5G thing came out, and all these other things came out. And, I'm not sure after that if they were really disturbed by it or they just didn't really care. And the feeling is that I got was that more so that they didn't care. And so what happened was that when they were done talking to me, they ushered people to come and drag me out. Anyway, I woke up in bed pissed, trying to sort it all out. And then, and so what I put in here was, in my journal, is that these fucking councils, anytime that you have a hierarchy, and it's taken me a long time to be disrespectful. I used to be more Pollyanna, and I used to be more subservient, and I used to be more kind of go along with the program when I was younger, and then try to implement whatever I could positively, in a gleeful cheerleader way. I'm not like that anymore. And, after I had the whole fight with my star family, which, is getting better and better, it's mending. But I'll never allow them to do the things that they've done. And if you're not familiar with some of that, you can go back in the videos. There's a lot of things that I'd like to talk about, and I think I'm gearing up to actually do videos to talk about, that are pretty intense. They're even intense for me to talk about them publicly. So I'm working on healing a lot of that work that I need to do personally in order to be able to move forward with that. Anyway, we think the master councils of this galaxy, of this multidimensional, the Elohim, the these, the that, the them, the galactics, the Syrians, the Orion-y people, the bird people, the All these different things and in these different dimensions that have these different councils, and all this other stuff. And so we're told that they care. They do not care. They don't care. They see us as ignorant and weak, they're even surprised. I think that they were really surprised that I was as conscious as I was at that council last night. And I did get a little discombobulated when you have a whole bunch of, people are not people, they're not people. You have beings in your mind picking out information that they want, not what they want you to, what they're going to allow you to talk to them about or tell them. You got a problem. And these, people want to go to heaven because they'll get to talk to the Master Council, who are going to entrap you in an electronic prison and keep you and force you into reincarnating here because this is a slave planet. It's a slave system. And yeah, maybe we might be winning physically on Earth here. It doesn't look that way. But we keep told that that's what's happening. I don't believe it for a minute. Because, I've left charge to these, people have left charge to these different councils and these light beings, and I'm calling bullshit. And I'm calling bullshit on those light beings. On all of them. You got to show me that I matter. You got to show me that the children matter. You got to show me that the water matters, that this planet matters. And you got to get your ass in here and do some work. Because I'm done waiting. And right now, after dealing with that council last night, fuck you. I'm not going to be subservient. I'm not going to listen, and maybe that's why they're so angry, because they realize, I'm not going to be sold a crock of poo-poo. And, like a friend of mine says, a turd is a turd, okay? So I'm talking to them about Earth, and Earth is a turd right now. It's a giant turd. Big, stinky, rotting turd. And you can't put a bow on a turd. It still looks like a turd. You can't wrap paper, Christmas paper on it and put a bow on it. It's still a turd. So the fact that I see exactly what's going on, and I've educated myself in a way, and I'm conscious. I'm not as conscious as I could be. But for these councils that are supposed to be of light to continue to treat us the way that they treat us, by lying to us and manipulating us and getting us to not be active, right? Participate in our own experience, participate in the experience with Earth, start recovering it and healing it and stopping all the things that are happening to it. Because, we'll take care of it. We're going to come and save you. They didn't even try to feed me that kind of crap last night. They were like, oh, out. They knew I wasn't going to go for it. It wasn't going to be manipulated. And they weren't going to be able to erase me. They weren't going to be able to erase my memory. Right? So they don't want to deal with me, which is fine. I don't want to deal with them. So anyway, that's what I have to say. It's bullshit. And, the longer that we wait, the longer that we put up with this crap, the longer that we, wait for somebody to save us or to take care of us or whatever else it's going to be, we're going to lose. Because other people in control are feeding us information. Other people in control are deciding on the information we're allowed to have. There is no transparency. And you know what? Disclosure is bullshit. Because none of these UFO agencies or these Star Kid organizations will actually have a legitimate conversation with me. And I've had all kinds of extraterrestrial contact. So wake up out there. Stop waiting for a savior. And these councils don't care. And it doesn't matter if it's an energetic council, a dimensional council, a heaven council, a council on earth, your government council, your state council, your attorney council, you know what? Your church council. You got to get out of all of that bullshit and start counseling and mentoring yourself and get some boots on your feet and get a shovel in your hand and get out there and fight. Because it doesn't look good for the masses. It does not look good for us. They burnt down a nuclear plant that had never been cleaned up in California. Now there's radioactivity material going everywhere. On top of all the Fukushima, they're getting ready to dump unbelievable amounts. It's going to make the ocean boil from Fukushima. What are we allowing? What are we thinking? Come on, people. Stop listening. Use your own mind. Start thinking. Start thinking. Come on. Hello. I'm even willing to teach classes to help people, right? For free, to wake up. Use your own mind. Use your own energy. Use, give you tools on how to make this happen if you don't know what to do, right? Contact me. Contact me if you're interested. Put in the subject line, interested in classes, right? All right. Then I can include, when I put it together, I can include you in Zoom, because the thing is like, I don't want to set all this up and no one show up, right? That I'm unwilling to do. I'm unwilling to spend all that time. I've spent so much time putting workshops and classes together that no one ever showed up to, right? So there has to be at least some people that are interested, and you have to show up. Okay, so that's the commitment, right? And if you can help me with donations, great. If you can't, I don't care. But come on, we got to get this party started, right? We got to get ourselves moving ahead. We've got to have some conversations on using tools and everything else to get ourselves more conscious and more straightened out, so that we can get answers to our questions, that we have personally. Instead of looking outside of ourselves, we'll have tools and information to look inside of ourselves, right? And will the information be conflicting to the outside world and what we're being told? Hell yeah, it's going to be conflicting. That means you're going to have to learn to love yourself, and you're going to have to learn to trust yourself, and you're going to have to embrace yourself through it all, right? And make a stand. All right. Bridget Lynn Dolgoff, Conscious of Economics and Urban Farm Project.